A conference like this really allows people to do very different things to come together with two primary models, exercise or sport and nutrition.
It takes a whole lot more than one brain to really get at the issues that we're dealing with now.
So I teach and do research. The majority of what I do is related to exercise and nutrition interventions to improve things like body composition, cardiovascular health, metabolic health.
I direct the Nutrition Research Laboratory at Miami Research Associates, and I also direct the sports nutrition program for Florida International University.
My research relates to dietary protein and mechanisms that regulate growth in the cell.
We're not quite sure what kind of protein is superior over another in terms of optimizing recovery.
You have to adjust your SNC or conditioning program according to how much work they're already doing. What is their volume? How many days are they sparring? If they're sparring 3 or 4 weeks out, 4 or 5 times a week, well then you're not going to be responsible for as much metabolic conditioning. Maybe you can do more traditional strength, training, flexibility work.
I do nutrition consulting as well as what I call fight performance conditioning, training fighters of a variety of different disciplines, from boxing, kickboxing, MMA, wrestling, and judo.
When you put a conference like this on, it really brings a lot of very bright people together with some common goals to see some overlap in terms of the trends that are going on, and then you can start to get at what really optimizes performance and really kind of putting the science behind the practice.
My area of expertise is resistance training, where we study the physiology and biochemistry of resistance training and its outcome from youth all the way to older individuals.
Going through the motion in power training is not worth it. Going through the motions in power training is not going to help you gain maximal power at all. And we've seen it, and you can look at different studies, and you can look at the stuff we've done on different percentages, and the lower percentages where you can sometimes get improvements, because as you go through the force velocity curve, your power is higher, you're lighter, and then it goes down. So your body mass, plyometrics, you get from high power outputs. Then you start loading across the spectrum, and you try to train across that entire spectrum.
So when you start to pull from multiple areas, the biology, the physiology, the molecular biology, the nutrition, the performance, the sports science, all of those things start to come together, and you really get a pretty remarkable product from what we've seen so far.
You have to adjust your SNC or conditioning program according to how much work they're already doing.
Each meal presents an opportunity for anabolic growth, and that rather than focusing on how much protein in a day you can consume, what you need to focus on is at an individual meal you should be able to provide sufficient protein to be able to stimulate those growth processes.
The sport nutrition area is pretty young compared to just the areas of exercise science or just nutrition.
Years ago, it was a separation of church and state. Nutrition people stayed to nutrition, exercise scientists and exercise science stayed to their own, personal trainers stayed to their own, strength coaches didn't exist.
There's so many changes going on at Rutgers in such a positive way with the merger with the medical school and with some of the initiatives on the biobehavioral side, on the biomedical side, and with the new institute going in. Rutgers is a really unique model. With our movement into the Big Ten and the CIC, I think that we can set a standard for what we can do with athlete performance from a science standpoint. So being able to bring people like this in really shows how we can be a hub for moving forward with the area of human performance, both from a nutritional and exercise science side of things.
So now, over the evolution of the past 20, 30 years, we've had a marrying and an integration, if you will, of multidisciplines, including nutrition, exercise physiology, physiology on its own, and people from what's called the world of metabolism. And what gets better about it is that the students get to learn actually more applicable things that they can utilize in daily life, and then many people can benefit at a much more expedited rate.
These conferences is where us as researchers really get to translate information that we do in the lab.
Dr. Fleck used to train Yamaguchi, found out she could do triples when she had great eccentric strength because she could stop her landing, would be able to stop. If she wasn't eccentrically strong, she couldn't land the double triples that you have in the figure skating.
Rutgers is perfect for this kind of conference, first because of our location. So we are central to not only so many other institutions, but so many venues for athletics in this area, where we have a great opportunity to bring together easily many different populations.
It's a tremendous university, and it's excellent in the human performance field, both nutrition, exercise physiology, sports performance, and the one thing I really like that I've seen thus far is the collaboration between the different departments at Rutgers.
It was nice for me, being a professor here, to be able to expose the community, and particularly our students, to the people that they read about. You know, the people that are setting the standard for our field. That's what I was looking forward to, is to be able to bring things that you would normally see at a national level conference to Rutgers.